Welcome back. In this video, I want to take care of spawning bombs. And now you might wonder, how can we do that? Well, think about it. What class should we edit? So which script should we change? Well, I hope you came up with spawner, or you had the idea of using the spawner, because if you look at it, we are spawning fruits in here. So we have this game object, fruit to spawn prefab. Then we are spawning prefabs here. So we spawn the fruit to spawn prefab here. But now what we want to do instead is we want to make sure that we can spawn multiple different fruits and that we can spawn a bomb. And the way we are going to do it, or at least I'm going to do it, is I'm going to make sure that this fruit to spawn prefab is going to be an array. Okay, so here I'm going to call this fruit to spawn prefabs, because it's going to be plural now. Let's make sure that it's overwritten here. But this will not work because it says that the instantiate method will only create one object. So it will not create an array of objects. So what we can do now is we can now, of course, say spawn prefabs at position 0, for example. Okay, that would work. But what I want to really spawn is either a fruit or a bomb. Now I could, of course, say, okay, the bomb will be part of the items that will be spawned. So I'm just going to add it into the list of spawn prefabs. And I'm not going to call it fruit to spawn prefab, but objects to spawn prefab. But then I cannot control bombs properly. So the easiest way would be to create a new game object, which will be my bomb. Okay, bomb prefab. And now I can randomly define when a bomb will be created. So with a certain chance, I could say, okay, with 10% of a chance, the bomb will be spawned. All right, let's actually implement that. Therefore, I'm going to create a new game object. I'm going to call it GO, standing for game object. And I'm going to set it to null first. Okay, it will be empty. And then I'm going to use random range. So random range gives me a value between the minimum inclusive and maximum inclusive. So between two values. So let's say between 0 and 100. But this will return a float. So let's use that float. Let's say float RND. Let's give it a name. And now we can check if RND is less than, let's say, 10. Then use the bomb prefab as the game object. And otherwise, use the fruit to spawn prefab. So here, fruit to spawn prefab. Now this by itself will not work because fruit to spawn prefab is an array of game objects. So let's also randomly select the fruit that we want to use, because we have 3 different fruits, right? We have the bananas, we have the oranges, and the watermelons. And if we decide to add more fruits in the future, we want to make sure that our code is easily adjustable in the future. So what we can do now here is we can just say we want to get a random fruit. How can we get a random fruit? Well, by using random range, where we say between 0 and the amount of fruits that we have. So fruit spawn prefabs.length. So what that will do now is it will, first of all, create this game object called go. Then it will randomly create the value between 0 and 100. Then we check if the randomly generated value, which was between 0 and 100, is in fact less than 0. So in 10% of the cases, let's use the bomb prefab. And in all the other cases, let's use the fruit to spawn prefabs. And which one do we want to use? Well, a random one. So here we're just saying random range and between the first entry and the maximum amount of entries. So let's say we have 3 fruits. Then we use this range method, which will return an integer, which is exactly what we need as index. So we are saying between 0 and int max exclusive. That's important, the exclusivity here. So let's say we have 3 here, 3 fruits that we can select from. Then this value would be 3 and 3 would be excluded. So it would be a value between 0 and 2, which means 0, 1 or 2, which is exactly what we can enter here in order to get the right fruit. So here, instead of spawning the fruit prefab, I'm going to spawn our go. Our go is, of course, our game object. That will be either a bomb or it will be a random fruit. Now, of course, you could say, all right, I don't want it to be 10% all the time. Maybe I want to be able to adjust it. So what we can do here is we can create a new public int chance to spawn bomb. And let's say we set that to 10. Okay, so now in Unity, we will be able to adjust the probability that it will be a bomb. And now we can use this value here. So here, chance to spawn bomb. All right, now at this point, let's save this script and let's go back to our spawner here. So here, our spawner will now have spawn places. That's fine. It has the bomb prefab that it will need. So let's use the one from the prefabs. Really important, not the one from the game. Let's go over here to the spawner and let's use this bomb prefab here. And here, fruits to spawn. Well, currently let's just set it to 1 because the only fruit that we have ready is going to be the banana. Later on, we're going to prepare the other fruits also. But for now, it's just going to be the banana. And now we have a chance here, chance to spawn bomb of 10. So let's run this game. And let's see, well, actually, let's get rid of the bomb here because we don't need to have the bomb in the middle of the game anymore. So let's see whether there will be bombs. There is one. I can stop the game by hitting it. Okay, so you see now it will either spawn bananas or it will spawn bombs. And of course, we can very easily adjust it to spawn other items as well. Now there's of course one thing. You could use a spawn chance of 90, for example, for bombs. Then you would almost only get bombs. So now you actually even have a value that you can modify, maybe via code, for example, to become more difficult over time. So you could say with every bomb that's spawned, you increase the chance to spawn bombs by 1. But then I would regulate this value using the game manager. Okay, so you would have this value or this variable inside of the game manager and you would get it from there. But I'm not going to do that in this lecture. This is something you are free to adjust to your liking later on. You can make the game more difficult if you want to by, of course, changing a bunch of the values that we have used so far. All right, now we have a bomb and we can spawn bombs. And we can now even adjust our code so that we could use multiple different fruits. But in the next video, we're going to first of all focus on the game over UI because currently our game stops once we hit a bomb. And I would like to be able to play the game just after that. So replay the game, so to speak, once I hit the bomb. So see you in the next video.